Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we will talk about the image HTML tag and learn about the ways that we can use it to make our website faster or how we can optimize our website to load faster. Since images are very heavy and of course most of the time we want to display it to its full glory. That's just like this cute cat that we see on our screen right now. It is being displayed at its full glory, or it is not compressed or anything like that. Okay, and if we check the network tab, just how huge this this image is, it is around, it's still pending, there we go. As you can see, it's very slow on slow 3G, and it's about 67 kilobytes. That's like a huge chunk of code that we can load already. And we need to have ways to optimize this so that our content is loaded right away, so that there's some kind of visual appeal before the image is loaded. Because, well, who wants rather to see an empty page? No one, right? Because I don't. But yeah, anyway, so this normal image doesn't have any optimization. It does, however, implement one of the ways without CSS of how you can prevent CLS. So CLS means cumulative layout shift, wherein your, what do you call this? Your layout will change how it looks whenever an image or a new item is added. So for example, so let me just show you what I mean. Let's try to add a text below the image, like a random gibberish, and refresh the page on slow 3G, of course. There we go. Now if we load, oh, okay. Let me try to remove one of the ways that I did already to prevent CLS. So let me remove this explicitly set attributes width and height and see the layout shift happen. There we go, we have the text in here. But once the image loads, the text suddenly disappears. It goes down. The image pushes it down. So that is what they mean by cumulative layout shift. And if you have a lot of this happening in your page, then the user, or rather, there will not be a good user experience. Because for example, if a user or you, excuse me, or you are trying to read something right off the bat, or right when the page loads and an image suddenly pushes that text off, then you will be thrown off your reading flow, won't you? Won't you? And that is why we need to make amends. No, not make amends. We need to implement ways or techniques to prevent that. And one of the ways is to explicitly set the width and height of an image, which is most of the time the accessibility friendly way to do it. And if we did that, we can see that the browser actually reserved the space, or rather reserved a space for where the image is going to be placed in. That's why everything is placed perfectly. Although there's another problem. There's a huge empty space in here, just a pure white space. And how can we solve this? Because as a user or a visitor of a website, most of the time we don't know that there will be an image here. We just think, oh, why is this empty? It's like weird, it's out of the place. So we need to know that there's an image in here waiting to be loaded. And then one of the ways we can do that is with lazy loading. So let me show you that. Let me just comment this out first. And we will get to the responsive images after I discuss with you the lazy loading. And the first one in our list is the HTML loading attribute. So this is inbuilt in modern HTML already, but beware because some browsers do not support this that much just yet. Okay, so how can I comment this out? Let me just comment this out first. Okay, then comment the responsive section, and then the ones below this, which is the scroll one. And now let's see, and the JavaScript one, let's see how this is setting up. Okay, so in here we set the native or the HTML tag to, or we told the browser to load the image lazily. And I am not actually showing you the full browser, but there we go. And it's not that bad. The image actually loads much quicker, didn't it? Doesn't it, rather? As you can see, it's a little bit quicker. However, please do take caution again that when you're using the attribute loading and have a value of lazy, you need to be sure that this image will not be visible on the first page load. So once the page loads, that means that the image that you are trying to lazily load is not visible anywhere on the screen, on like this screen when the page first loads. Okay, so that is like it's what they call in page insights the page no the first contentful paint. So the biggest paint there is, or biggest loading something like the design, the styles, the images and such, and the image that is seen on the first page load is should be part of that. And if that is the case, then you can just tell the browser that you should load this eagerly. It should be immediately. Okay, and with that, if I open my inspect tab again to apply the throttle, let's see what happens. It should still be the same speed. Yeah, there we go, because we are toggling or throttling a slow 3G connection. So let's move on to the next one, which is much better. Although this is much easier and more convenient, you can just add the attribute and you're done. But it's still not somewhat user friendly because you're not telling the user that an image exists. So one of the ways we can do that, if I just comment this out, is by using JavaScript. Okay, so let me comment this out, and then grab this one, comment it out. So the first thing that we'll look at is by checking if everything in the browser, or the DOM as they call it, has fully loaded. The content has loaded. So there is an event listener named window, or rather named DOM content loaded. Okay, so we will attach an event listener once our script tag has loaded to check if the everything in the DOM has loaded, all the scripts, all the HTML tag, all the styles, the fonts, etc. Okay, and this is including the small image. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Okay, there we go. So the key part here in lazy loading through JavaScript is to first have on first page load to make your image load with a very small version of it. So in this case, a 10 pixel sized image. So if I save that, as you can see that my 10 pixel image is around 773 megabytes. Okay, and this is happening because I disabled the CSS and I have not set an explicit width and height. Why is that? Well, first, because we want the image to be responsive. In this case, I wanted it to be responsive, and if I set this to have an explicit width and height of 200 and like its height in the images properties, then if it gets to 400 pixels or like greater, or for example, if we are on desktop and we want the image to have a 400 pixels of width, then we won't be able to see that without using CSS, of course. And I guess to solve that, we can do something like attaching the listener for the CSS changes or like media query. So something like window.match media, and then the media query here, then add event listener every time it changes. But this is just too much overhead. So I guess we can do something like we want to add the width. So the highest amount of, or the highest or largest size that we can think of for the image, which is height of 400 pixels and or width of 400 pixels and height of 533 pixels. And now we can remove this and see this in action. There we go. As you can see, for a image that has not fully loaded yet, so the first thing that we load is the 10 pixel image. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Oh wait, I should actually put the browser on top. There we go. So the first image that will load is the 10 pixel image, and that took around 2 seconds, which could probably be shorter. So we can make this like 100 bytes or 10 bytes if it's possible, because we just want it to like fill in the small parts or fill in the image like that while it's filtered out. So if I remove the filter blur and show you the initial look of the image, there we go. That is the 10 pixel image that we are seeing right now. So we can make it smaller actually, since we are going to apply the filter of blur just to make it more elegant and more appealing to the eyes, as you can see. So it looks like it's just being covered by a filter of blur, which it is. And then what we're just doing, whenever the image has loaded, because once we append the source set, and since the source set means in here, so I will explain to you the source set attribute, okay? Just go here. Okay, so the source set attribute pretty much means that we want to have a set of sources for the image. And this set of sources, we can apply some kind of an indicator of when to load this specific source. So for example, if an image is about 200 pixels in width, that is what we mean by 200W, we want to load this image on the left. Okay, and these are comma separated values. So on the next declaration or source would be the next item. So for example, we want to load this image if the image has a width or has a width of 400 pixels. So let's see that in action and check our network. We can see that the 400 pixel image has been loaded. So if I try to refresh this, and the 200 pixel image should be the one that is loaded, although I'm not sure why it's not. Aha, so that is because we set the height and the width explicitly. So if I remove that, so this was actually the reason why I did not set it. Okay, and it's still the same. Okay, I tried to solve the problem and I keep forgetting about this attribute, which I have above already. But if you don't want to set the width and height explicitly, and for example, want the image to be responsive, then we can use the sizes attribute. And this goes very well along the source set attribute. Wherein, with the sizes, we tell the browser a media query, for example here. So this is the format for this. We declare the media query for the size. So for example, min width of 1000 pixels. So min width pretty much means if the browser is at least this amount of pixels, or if the screen or the browser's width, there we go. Yeah, screen size is at least this much. Then we want to set the image size to be equal to this. Are you saying what I'm highlighting? Yeah, okay, good. And then it is also a comma separated values. And if you don't provide a media query, then that will be the fallback value. Okay. So in here, I just solved my problem, which is now it should load the 200 pixel image. There we go. So this is pretty good actually, because for example, if a user is on mobile, then you won't have to load a very large image. You can just load a smaller version of it because the user is on mobile. But if a user is, there we go, on desktop, we can make it bigger. And if we refresh this, we will get the 400 pixel image. And if we resize too small, we will still get the same one because, well, we don't need to make another fetch request if the image that we have right now is larger than the one to be loaded, which is smaller. So that means this will have a better quality, won't it? Will it not? So yeah, that is pretty much it for the lazy loading without the visible viewport. And this is not bad, but for example, what if we have a lot of images and they are not visible just yet? Do we really want to load them after everything has been loaded? What if there's some kind of like advertisement that you have on your website or something, and a user, so, for example, make dynamic changes, like you have a very dynamic page, social website, or I don't know, then we can use the intersection observer to load the images lazily. So you know what? Let me just apply the sizes attribute, which I totally forgot on my images. Okay, let's do that real quick. So for each image, we will attach the sizes attribute. There we go. Pretty cool. Do I need to put that in here as well above? Lazy load. Yeah, I think I do. Okay. Then I guess we can also attach the source set on the loading attribute version. Okay, what else do I need? Where else can I put it? Let's see. Source set, yes, that's good. Maybe in here. Hmm. Okay, where was I? My cat was hungry and I fed him just real quick. Okay, anyway. Let's see. Yeah, I guess we can provide it on the picture element as well. Yeah. So we will have the sizes. No, we don't need a source set on that actually because it is a picture element. So we can instead use the sizes attribute. Okay, we will get to the responsiveness later on, but let's go with this. And with that, I do think we don't need this image container. Now, do we? Oh, we still need it. It's because of this right here. But let's try anyway. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, we need it. 200%. No, let's try. Let's see here. Yep, we need it. Oh, we definitely need that. Okay. But yeah, there we go. Okay. You're actually not seeing my browser, aren't you? Okay, there we go. I'm trying to resize and checking if everything's working, and it is. So let's move on to the lazy scrolling and explain to you what is happening behind it. So a demo real quick. Let's try to save this. Okay, so that will be the first item. And now if I try to scroll down, we can see that the other items are loaded as well. And it's very fast because the image, or rather because they have the same source sets, or they have the same image source. And since on the first page load, because this has been visible, that specific image has already been loaded. But let's see that with a network throttle to see how slow or how fast this will load the page. There we go. Okay, that's the first image. We have that image, which is slow as well. Then we have that. Voila. Okay. So I guess my hypothesis was wrong. Okay, that's my bad. So it's still being fetched for each one. That is because we are appending the source set. Okay, there we go. So let's try that again. So load. And it's very slow because the amount of kilobytes is 22. That's huge. But anyway, let's see what's happening here. So for each images to be loaded on visible, which is the lazy scroll version, we just want to observe it with our observer. And that's what we have here. And then this function, and a parameter is carried over to this function. Okay, which are the entries, and those entries are the images. And of course, this entry is almost like the event object that we get from event listener. So we need to get that with, or we need to get the element with entry.target. Okay. And then to check if the element is in the viewport, there is the property named is intersecting, and this will return to us true or false whether an element is in the viewport or not. Let me just actually put my browse or code editor above. There we go. And then once it is, then we just do the same logic that we did on the normal version. Okay, wherein we just take the source set values from the custom attribute of data source set, and to do that we just say from the element or entry.target, get the data set, and with that data set there is a list of properties, which are the attributes that are prefixed with data hyphen, and then get the source set. That will be the temp because we want to, or I guess we don't need to set the temp because we are removing the attribute of data source set at the very end. So we can just do something like this. And the same one up here. There we go. Okay, and then since this image, or since the observer would have performed its duty on the image, then we don't need to observe the image anymore. We want to remove it from the observer. That's because the image would have fully loaded already. Wait, why is this? Oh, okay. Entry.target. There we go. Okay. Alright, that's pretty much it for lazy loading. And with that, you can have your website to be pretty fast. And also, this is the recommended way to do this on like W3 schools. You need to set your image with 100% and max width of 100%. Then just have a container with its width and height, or whatever width and height you prefer. I guess that's because of the situations such as what we had here with the sizes attribute and the source set. Okay, now that that is done, let's just proceed to responsive images and see what's happening behind the scenes and such. Comment that out. Let's go with the responsive section. Hooray! Okay, let's not throttle this anymore. Oh, let's actually do the picture element first. So the picture elements stay in sources and then the image tag itself. So the source tags are pretty much the fallback, or like the secondary source for the image. It's almost the same as the source set attribute that we have, but in this case it's more explicit. So for example, right now we have loaded this image right here, the image source of image cat 200 pixels, and I'm not showing you the browser, so let me just show you that real quick. And then let me just make my browser smaller and just toggle the mobile. Okay. Then we can make it bigger, like, I don't know, 1229. There we go. Okay. And now let's check the network tab. Okay, it's getting crowded in here real quick. How can I move this? Okay. But yeah, let's check what we have. So first we have the source tag with the source set of the larger image, and we have the attribute media. So if you are noticing a pattern, it is the same as the attributes of the image tag with the sizes and the source set. So this is, again, more explicit. So we are saying here that if the browser has a width, or if the browser screen size has a width greater than 768 pixels, so around maybe tablet size, yeah, that's around tablet size. So let me just decrease this, and that is very slow. We want to load the larger image, so that is what we are seeing right now. Okay, so if I try to refresh my browser and check the requests that the browser made, we can see that we only have the 200 pixel image, or the image with the 200 pixels in size. And if we check the sources, oh, that's weird, we have this. I guess this is because we are, no. Oh, that's interesting. But the requests only did the 200 pixels. That is very interesting. I didn't know about that. Well, that's something to learn every day. But anyway, you can check that again, the browser only requested the 200 pixel sized image. And if we resize that to be larger than what we specified in the source tag, we can see that the browser made a request to the image tag, or to the larger image, of 400 pixels. And if I refresh, we can also see the beauty wherein the image, or the larger image, was the one that was loaded and not the smaller image. When on the first page load, we get a larger, or we satisfy the media query inside that is the value of the media attribute. Okay, and of course, if we resize, which is pretty much a little bit of the downside of this, but also the beauty, if we want to use other media queries, we get the size of 200 pixels. I mean, that's not bad because that's what we specify anyway, unlike in the sizes attribute. But the downside is because we would be making another request to the server. But this is fine, I guess. So we can also use this method, the source, with something like prefers color scheme, dark, and then we can have a light and dark versions of the images. And depending on the color scheme, we would load that specific image, which is pretty nice. Okay. What else? So this is pretty much the fallback, and the way this is read is the source tag first, and then the other source tags if you have them, and then at the end, no if the media query, okay, let me just, pardon me for that, if the media query or if the value of the media query in the source tag is not fulfilled or is not satisfied, then we will disregard it. However, if it is satisfied, then this is the one that we will load, the one inside the source set. Okay, the next one is pretty much the sizes attribute, which I have already discussed, probably. Okay, let me just discuss that one last time, and then that will be it for this video. So the sizes attribute is just almost the same as the picture element. Okay, what happened? Oh, let me just comment this out. There we go. Okay, let's see here. So this one again has a problem. What is that? Hmm. Is it because of this? Seems to be relative or what? Maybe the 200 pixels should be the one in the first list. No, it's not. If I make this smaller. Oh, now the 200 pixel image is loaded. What? Okay. So it's not taking into effect on... Okay, I think that's a bug in the browser. Because if you notice that when I'm making this smaller, so let me just move this, it's taking into effect. Like this is like less than around 700, less than 768 pixels. But if I did this with the mobile emulator, the network request is requesting for the larger image, although clearly we can check above that the width is less than, or the screen size is less than 768 pixels, which is what we have here. That is the fallback for the sizes. As also, that is the width and height. As you can see that the width and height is actually changing as well for the image container. And for the when we go out of the emulator, we can see that the 200 or the smaller image is being loaded. And when we go larger than that, or larger than 768 pixels in screen size, we can see that the larger image is being loaded. And on first page load, when the condition is satisfied, wherein we are on tablet or something, or desktop, we will load the larger image. Now that is weird on the mobile emulator part, but yeah, there it is. It is working. So let me just walk you through this one last time. The sizes attribute. So we are saying that this source will have, or we will load this source if the image has at least a width, or at most rather, a width. No, not at most. Yeah, at least or at most, because it can be less than 200 and greater than 200 and equals to 200. If the width of the image is at most and at least 200 pixels in width, and we will load this size of the image or version of the image, so this is the larger version, if the image is at most and at least 400 pixels in width. And of course, we have the sizes wherein we will set the size of the image for specific media query. So that's why it's almost the same as the picture element, although it is also different because in the picture element, we can make use of other media queries. Where in the sizes, we can only make use of the size media queries to set the sizes explicitly. But of course, we can set, I don't know if there's a use case for that, wherein, for example, on dark mode, we can set the width to this specific, or the image to this specific size. I don't know what's the use of that, really, honestly. But yeah. So that is all. Let's try to uncomment everything now and see everything in action. Okay. Yeah, let me just highlight everything. I think that will work. Or not. What did I just uncomment? Oh, okay. I uncommented the first comment line rather. There we go. So now we have the slow 3G, and let's see the lazy loaded images in action. Okay, so this one are loaded pretty slowly. Meanwhile, all the other lazy loaded images have already loaded their placeholders. Okay, and with the lazy load alternative, we won't be seeing this very slow rendering of the image, like this kind of rendering. If we just, there we go, it's like a waterfall, which is pretty kind of off-putting if you ask me. Meanwhile, with this method, it's very elegant. It's just, oh, blurred, and then wow, you know. Okay, that's everything. Thank you for watching. It's been half an hour, which is not that bad for me for recording this kind of like educational content about image tags. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something and that you will make a faster and very, very fast website, optimized website. But yeah, good luck on your development journey, and you can probably make a library or tool out of this. I will, that's for sure. But okay, happy learning and thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. I hope you truly learned something about images and lazy loading and a bit about the intersection of server. And I think that's it. Yeah, happy learning. Have a good day. God bless. Goodbye.